Hello, I am Miss Nord, and today I'm going to talk about something that I think we all have experienced in our lives, which is having a common cold. In particular, I want to discuss one of the side effects, which is fevers. And the reason I'm addressing this is because it's pretty relevant to my own life right now. Last week I was sick, and one of my symptoms of the cold that I had was fever chills. I was sitting on my couch and I was resting, and I started to become very cold and have fever chills. And I was shivering, and I grabbed a blanket and a sweatshirt. And I did all those normal things that I'm sure you've done before to try and get warm and heat myself up. But one thing I did that I normally don't do is I took my temperature immediately as I started to get those fever chills. And when I did that, I noticed something very odd. My temperature was a 98.7. The normal temperature, body temperature, of an adult is 98.6, and the normal range is anywhere between 97 and 99 degrees. So my temperature, when I started to experience those fever chills, was actually normal, which made me wonder why I actually felt cold when I had a normal body temperature. And so I investigated this a little bit more and looked into what fever chills are, why we get them, and why, in a way, they're actually kind of beneficial. To really investigate this science, I think it's important to start by looking at the brain. And we're going to do this together right now. So, in the brain, there's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus. And, there we go. There's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus. And this is responsible for controlling the nervous system, and included in that is regulating your body temperature. So one thing that the hypothalamus does is it controls your internal thermostat. The internal thermostat is the temperature that it sets as normal in your body. And normally, as I said before, that's going to be between a range of 97 to 99, with the average body temperature being 98.6. With the case of my cold that I had, my hypothalamus actually increased my internal thermostat. And it did this because it thought it was going to be beneficial in fighting off my infection. So an increased body temperature is beneficial for a few different reasons when you're sick in particular. White blood cells are really good for ingesting microbes of infections. So they recognize foreign particles and they help fight infection. White blood cells are really good to have. At an increased body temperature, you actually are speeding up the white blood cell production in your body. Additionally, it is slowing down the bacteria reproduction of the virus. It's unable to reproduce as well at that higher temperature. It's going at a slower rate. And so it's giving your body a little bit of an advantage in fighting that infection because it's moving slower. So it's giving your body a chance to just really combat that infection and put all your forces out there in getting you to feel better. So with my fever chills that I was experiencing, even though I didn't have a fever at the time, since my hypothalamus increased my internal thermostat, my body thought that it was cold. So it had a thermoregulation response. Thermoregulation is a way that our body controls the temperature that we're at. It keeps it consistent. It keeps it in that range I mentioned earlier. And it does this in a lot of different ways. It can heat up your body, and it can also help to cool down your body. Shivering is a way to heat up your body. It's a physiological response, and the muscle contractions and shivering and all of that muscle activity is creating heat that helps to raise your body temperature. So I was shivering even though I was at a normal adult body temperature. I was shivering because my body thought that it was cold because it was underneath the internal thermostat that my hypothalamus set. And I did take Advil because my temperature did eventually get to 101.2. I got a little concerned. I took Advil, and eventually my fever was reduced, and I'm feeling better today. So my body was successful in fighting off that virus, but I do want to say that it's not always beneficial to have that increased fever. If you have a fever of above 103 degrees Fahrenheit, or if you notice that it's increasing towards 103 degrees, or if it lasts for more than 7 days, I really want to advise you to seek medical attention. I don't want to, by any means in this video, promote that you ignore medical profession advice. I'm not a doctor, but I just thought it was interesting to look into the science behind why we get fever chills. Additionally, if you have a high temperature, your enzymes in your body can actually become denatured, which means they're going to change structure. And enzymes are proteins that help all of your normal body functions, and they're everywhere in our body, and they're very essential for helping us to keep up at the pace that we do. So if those enzymes are being denatured, we're not going to be able to function properly, and it's going to be very bad. In conclusion, fever chills are really a complex thing, and the hypothalamus increases our internal thermostat in order to help try and fight that infection. So we get fever chills because we're trying to warm up our body, and it's kind of beneficial. So next time that you have fever chills, I want to encourage you to worry less, feel better, and think about how amazing and complex our human body is and our thermoregulation processes are. Thank you, and I'm going to leave you with my resources, as every good scientist does. Always cite your sources, students, and I will see you in class.